Your bag has been fine for years, until 2026. You roll up to the gate, they point at the sizer, and 5 seconds later, you're staring at a gate check tag and a $65 hit you didn't plan for. What changed isn't the rulebook as much as the enforcement. Basic economy and big hub gates are where they get stricter, so the same bag can slide by on the way out, then get tagged on the way back. No warning. In this video, I'll give you 10 quick checks you can do at home to avoid the last-second fee trap. Personal item, carry-on, and checked bags. And stay for the code share punchline. Operated by decides whose rules win at the gate. One word on your ticket reveals it. Comment your most ridiculous baggage charge ever. Airline, airport, plus what they made you pay. Bonus points if it was the exact same suitcase on the same trip, but the fee was totally different. And first, we're talking about the silent 2026 shift at big hubs, where your bag can get flagged the moment your boarding pass is scanned, and you haven't even reached the sizer yet. You know that moment you scan your boarding pass, and the gate agent looks at you before they look at the sizer? That look is the signal. At that point, the conversation is basically over. At a lot of big hubs, they pre-screen fast, fair class, a packed flight, a bag that looks puffy, pure workflow. You can get picked before you even touch the sizer. Once you're on their radar, there are usually only 2 buttons, pay or tag. Sizers still exist, but the real tripwire is the vibe of your bag. They don't need perfect measurements to ruin your day, just enough to stare at the bulging pocket, the overstuffed roller, the "it basically fits" suitcase. Gate agents feel harsher for a simple reason. They're closing a task. "I've flown with this bag forever" doesn't beat a screen that says, "check it." Twist: on some routes, enforcement isn't judgment anymore. It's a metric. When speed and compliance get tracked, maybe they'll let it slide stops being a plan. So do this the second you reach the airport. If you see a sizer, test your bag early, before boarding turns into a crowd. Then zip everything fully and flatten that front pocket. Gate staff aren't measuring to the millimeter. They're reacting to the belly. Your roller might survive. The smaller bag is where people get clipped most. Personal item sounds casual. Airlines don't treat it that way in 2026. Does it disappear under the seat, cleanly? Yes or no? Rule of thumb, aim around 18 by 14 by 8, but always check your airline, because some are smaller. Most people lose for a dumb reason. They shop by length and height, then get wrecked by thickness. A tote that looks small becomes a brick with a puffer, headphones, and a chunky charger. Underseat space is tight, plus a lot of planes have hardware down there stealing clearance. Thickness is the tax. Classic low-cost trap. Ticket says 1 personal item. They point to the demo seat. It doesn't slide in. No take something out. Just the upsell. Pay for overhead right now. Personal items that survive follow 3 rules. It bends, it stays flat, it has a job. Soft-sided wins, flat wins. Job means sit-down kit. ID, meds, charger, snack. Bulky stuff gets worn to the gate, not stuffed into the bag. 2 at-home checks. Slide it under a chair with tight clearance, crossbar or low space, and see if it goes in without wrestling. Pick it up zipped. If it hangs thick like a stuffed pillow, you're gambling. Need a rescue move on strict one-bag airlines? Keep a flat zip pouch inside your personal item. If you get called out, move the bulky cube into the pouch, then stuff it into a big jacket pocket or wear that layer. Hand carrying can get treated as second item on the strictest routes. Wearing it avoids that drama. Underseat is the fastest thing they can prove in 2 seconds. Too big turns into a paid upgrade fast. A lot of people thicken their personal items with one thing more than anything. A power bank, a big charger brick, extra cables. It's heavy, it's bulky, and it's usually the first chunk you'll wish you could move. And here's the twist. 2026 has a battery rule that has nothing to do with bag size, and it can stop your trip even if every bag fits perfectly. Seatbelt signs on, you plug in, and the crew tells you to stop. Power banks won't get you a baggage fee, but they can get you stopped mid-flight. And the annoying part is, every airline can play it a little differently. There are basically 2 layers to remember. On a lot of airlines, the big no is charging the power bank itself from the seat outlet. Some airlines even ban in-flight use. So don't guess in the air. Check your airline's policy for that route, and if the crew says stop, you stop. 3 habits that save you headaches. Keep the power bank in your carry-on, never in checked luggage. Keep the watt-hour or milliamp hour label readable. Don't slap a sticker over it. And if it's swollen, cracked, dented, or just looks sketchy, leave it home. Don't invite the battery safety conversation. That you need to drain it to 30% rumor? That's cargo talk, not a passenger rule. You don't need to punish your battery to fly. One thing that still catches people, on some international checkpoints, security may ask you to power on devices to prove they're real electronics. If your phone is dead at 0% and won't turn on, it can slow you down. Least risky move, show up with enough battery to boot your stuff. I've watched someone get called out the second they plugged in. Don't be that person. Power can trip you even when your bags are perfect. And once you clear the battery stuff, we're back to inches. Because standard carry-on size stops feeling standard the minute your itinerary swaps onto a regional jet. Everyone swears they know the standard, 22 by 14 by 9. Grab a tape measure anyway. Measure the outside. Wheels count. Handle housing counts. A puffy front pocket counts too. You're measuring it real life, not website life. And the expansion zipper? It's basically you turning on a spotlight that says, please inspect me closely. On strict gates, that's the self-snitch button. Regional jets are where it feels unfair. Your bag can be perfectly standard and still get tagged just because the bins are smaller. Earliest warning sign, a stack of tags sitting at the podium. You see that pile, you already know today's bins are tiny. So treat it like a drill. Top of your roller, every time, a paper-thin gate check kit. Your non-negotiables, the stuff you can't be separated from for 2 hours. Tag goes on, you unzip once, grab the kit once, done. No podium digging, no suitcase surgery in front of a line. Keep the kit with you, handheld or tucked to your body, whatever your airline allows. Hard shell bags look clean, but they give you zero margin when things bulge and bins get tight. Soft-sided bags buy you a little margin. Not to cheat, just to avoid that tiny bulge that flips walk-on free into tag it. And outside the US, it gets even pettier. In parts of Europe and Asia, 3 centimeters can be the difference between walking free and paying at the gate. Two bags, same length, same height. Only one survives in Europe. The loser doesn't lose for being tall. It loses for being thick. On a lot of these short-haul routes, the cabin box can be slimmer than you expect, sometimes around 20 centimeters deep, and hard-shell rollers don't flex. The second your front pocket puffs out, your bag turns into the easiest no at the podium. Home test that takes 5 seconds. Pack it, zip it, then set a book flat against the front. If the book tilts because the pocket sticks out, you're living in the danger zone. Another curveball on some carriers and certain routes, color-coded tags. This isn't the regional jet bins are tiny tag from earlier. This is a permission tag. One color says overhead allowed. Another basically means under seat. Put the wrong tag bag up top and they may call it out, and they'll often have you bring it back down. So yeah, 3 letters to remember on these routes. Slim, flat, stay in your lane. And don't relax yet, because on a lot of these flights, they don't start by sizing your bag. They start by weighing it, sometimes counting both cabin bags together. If your airline weighs cabin bags, you've really got 2 choices. You either pack like a minimalist, or you bring an ultralight carry-on from the start. On a lot of short-haul and low-cost routes in 2026, the gate isn't hunting for inches. It's hunting for a number. And that scale loves showing up when you're already in boarding mode. Most people don't blow weight limits by packing too much. They blow it by dragging the wrong suitcase to the airport. The hidden killer is the suitcase itself. On weight-limited routes, a heavy hardshell can eat a huge chunk of your allowance before you pack a single thing. The question I always ask when I lift a carry-on is simple. Is this suitcase eating my allowance? If the answer is yes, I'm basically choosing a gate fee ahead of time. I've seen this flip just by switching to an ultralight carry-on. Same trip, same clothes. Suddenly the weigh-in stops being a problem. Weight feels like it ends once you check a bag, then checked luggage hits you with the real boss fight. Oversize and overweight fees that stack fast. I've watched someone pay an overweight fee that was brutally close to a ticket price. The painful part? They didn't overpack. They bought the wrong tier. Checked baggage is where fees multiply fast because you can be almost right and still pay. It comes down to two tests: weight and overall size. Weight is the one that flips on people overseas. If you're used to the US 50-pound world, Europe and Asia rules can feel like a trap. Full-service airlines often sit around 23 kilograms, but a lot of light or basic fares and low-cost carriers sell checked bags in 15 kilograms or 20-kilogram chunks. That's how the classic pain happens. You pack a totally normal 21 kilograms bag, thinking you're safe. Then the counter says your allowance was 15 kilograms, and the penalty meter starts running. That's why this fee hurts. It's not overweight the way you thought. It's wrong tier. Size is the other fee button. The common oversized cutoff is 62 linear inches. Wheels and handles still count. Measure the outside, not the fantasy. The cleanest at-home check is the bathroom scale method. Step on with the bag, step on without it, subtract. Just don't aim for the exact limit. Airport scales rarely do close enough, so give yourself a cushion of 1 to 2 pounds. International itineraries add another layer: code shares. The allowance can be set at the itinerary level, not the logo you feel like you bought. That's why I check the airline website can still be the wrong answer. The counter works off what's printed on your ticket. Stay with me. Part 8 is the paperwork win, the one spot on your ticket that settles this fast, plus the exact sentence to say when the counter screen shows the wrong thing. Open your e-ticket. Quick scan. Find one line. Baggage allowance. Lock onto it. That line is your receipt, not a vibe. Here's why it matters on international and partner trips. The allowance is supposed to follow what's printed on the ticket, even when another airline operates a segment. So I check the airline website can still be the wrong fight. Then comes the IT gap. Sometimes the counter screen shows a default like 0 bags, even though your ticket includes 1. You didn't pack wrong. They're reading the wrong record. Don't debate. Say one sentence, calm and specific. Could we verify the baggage allowance line on the original e-ticket? If they're stuck, hand over 2 keys: your record locator and your 13-digit ticket number if you have it. That's usually more useful than waving your app. Nothing about your bag changed, only what their screen is showing. And suddenly, you're chargeable. You know what hurts more than a baggage fee? A baggage fee with a countdown clock. Boarding is moving, the door's not waiting, and your bag is the problem standing between you and your seat. Same bag, different fare, different enforcement. That's the 2026 reality. What slides through on one ticket gets tagged on another, right when time is worst. Classic meltdown. You didn't buy baggage online since you thought, I'll decide later. Later is the gate. The screen shows a higher price than the website, and if it turns into gate check, some airlines stack extra handling on top. You're not just paying, you're paying while your boarding group disappears down the jet bridge. Then comes the twist. At a lot of US airports, you can't count on cash anymore. Delta's airport locations in the US are cashless. United says it no longer accepts cash at the airport. So the gate is the worst place to discover your payment plan is shaky. Give me 10 seconds, because this next detail is why the fee feels so random. Some bags look fine in your house and look chargeable under gate lights. Then tell me, necessary or money trap, and why in one sentence. At home, it looks neat. Under gate lights, suddenly it looks like it's holding its breath. Here's the aesthetic test nobody talks about. 2 bags can be the same size on paper. Bag A looks square, calm, boring. It blends in. Bag B has a puffed belly and a zipper that looks strained. It gets attention. So when you buy your next carry-on, shop for shape control, not features. Pack it like a real trip and watch what it looks like when it's full. Does it close cleanly, stay squared off, and carry weight without looking stuffed? If it needs exterior pockets to survive the trip, it's going to read chargeable the moment the gate gets strict. If you love pockets, keep them for flat stuff only. Papers, a thin layer, not bulky items. Rule of boring, looks boring, flies. Looks stuffed, pays. Memorizing won't save you. Checking at the right time will. 2026 baggage rules aren't beating people on inches. They're beating people on assumptions. You assume your last trip's rules still apply. You assume the logo you bought is the logo enforcing. You assume I'll handle it at the airport is still an option. So here's the one check you do right before you fly. The night before, or while you're heading to the airport, open your e-ticket and look for two lines: operated by and baggage allowance. If those two lines match what you've been planning around, you're good. If they don't, you just saved yourself a gate fee surprise. Rules don't match worldwide, and they don't stay frozen after you book. Guessing is expensive. Checking is free. If this saved you a fee, like and subscribe. And don't forget to drop your baggage fee story in the comments.